Once you see it here, you're going to see it everywhere, and you'll be like, oh, I know exactly what that is now. Duh. So I'm just going to type in, Google authorship. I'm using Internet Explorer because I know most people use Internet Explorer. So I see there's a couple of ads here, right? Okay, and this is from Google. This is from Google. And now I see this guy, Mr. Jason, from the Huffington Post, who has this picture right here. Now, granted, this person is an author of the Huffington Post. It's a pretty big publication. But now this guy, blogkissmetrics.com. Have you heard of Kissmetrics? Anybody?
No.
Yeah, neither have I. But yet, let's see. Not counting the ads because they paid for these. 1, 2, 3. Third person down. Not of the Huffington Post, which is a big publication, and not of Google, who is Google. And yet, this person who's of blog.kissmetrics.com, this person who's of GuavaBox, this person who's of Search Engine Journal, places that, sure, they may get a lot of traffic, but it's no Huffington Post and it's no Google, and they're not paying for these. They're pretty up there in the search engine, and I want to click on each one of these because, it's got color, it's got a face. I don't know who Jason is, I don't know who Gray McKenzie is, or Rohit Palit, but they must know something because they have their face there. So that's Google authorship. That's all it is. Now, how do you get it? Okay, so this is my Google Plus account. This is the dopey picture I was telling you about. Okay, so I'm going to go to view profile. I'm going to go to about. So it's got my story, my tagline, which will end up showing up in a Google search. Little intro, bragging rights, which are ridiculous. Has my work, occupation, education, basic information, blah, 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 blah. Where do we get to authorship? All the way down here. Links. This is telling people where you're connected. It's also telling Google where you're connected. This contributor to section is where you're going to take advantage of Google authorship. If you scroll to the bottom and hit edit. So I've got my other profiles. These are just, different handles and stuff that I'm attached with. YouTube, Twitter, food blog. And then you have contributor to. What you do, you click add a custom link. In the label, you put the name of the website. So this is, it could be www. Oops, that's not it. www.website.com, right? I'm sorry. That should be in the URL. The label should be whatever, my website. And here I put Avery Hess Realtors blog and Avery Hess Realtors careers. You keep current contributor. Then you scroll down. Then you hit save. Once you hit save, it'll populate your contributor to section with what you just put in. So this is telling Google that, hey, now I'm going to start looking for Andrew in these places. So it's reaching out and it's trying to grasp these two websites. Now the only way that they connect is if on those two websites you're telling Google, I'm here. To do that, what you have to do, so you have to be the admin. So I said that I was on careers.averyhess.com, right? Now this is a WordPress site, and we have this going on now for WordPress. If you put in /admin, then that will get you in. Now it's different for other ones. It's different for Blogger. It's different for Joomla. We don't have Joomla sites, and we don't have blogs or Blogger sites. And it's also different if you use a just a straight up custom site. This is like, this would be Google Authorship on easy mode. So if you have a WordPress site and you go to your admin section, I'm already logged in. Right, we have all this stuff, blah blah blah. What you do is you go to users, and so these are all of the users that have Google Plus accounts. And what you do is you add new user. You put in all this information: your email, your username, first name, last name, website. This is really just for, like, on the back end, if someone were to search for, I know with Joomla, you can search by user. So like if you go to like mywebsite.com and you put in / whatever my username is, then stuff like this will pop up. Like it'll give people information about me. But there's a much better way to give that information, that personal information. So you would create a user, and once you create one, let's go back, you'll end up here where you can edit those users. Now, before you start editing that, there's a really cool feature that I recommend for WordPress that makes the authorship process a lot easier. It's Starbox. So within Starbox, like I'm going to go into the settings here, you know, and it basically shows an author box, so it shows your image. It helps along with the authorship process. It makes it visible, makes your authorship profile visible in post. And when I say authorship profile, I'm talking about something like this. So if I were to give you a real life example, go to careers@averyhess.com. This is an article that I wrote, and there at the very bottom this will pop up. So it makes it really cool so that it puts the REL author tag, and that's just the HTML code. It's like REL equals author, and then it has the URL of your actual profile. So, and I'll show you that in a second. But at the end of the day, it'll look like this on the actual blog. And with Starbox, with the settings, you know, you can tell it whether or not you would like it below the post, or if you'd like it above. It'll change. Like you can make it business or fancy. You can change them, and you know, they'll change accordingly. But yeah, Starbox is the best way to do it. And when you, for those who do have WordPress, in your posts, and then you see how it has like author admin, because when I signed in as an admin. What I would do, like for example for this one, I know who wrote this, so what I would do is I would just go into quick edit, author, and I don't need a plugin for this. It automatically asks who the author is, and it'll tap the user database. So when we did add user, admin was one of the users, and so if you add yourself, it'll add them into this. So I just go here, and then I say, okay, this is Erica Higgins. I'm going to update, and so all of the information that I added about her, which again, if you go back into users, and for example, you know, I go into edit Erica Higgins, I'm telling WordPress how I want it to appear. I want, you know, display the name publicly here, email, website. And here's the key piece, because everything else was just fluff until that part. The Google Plus profile URL. That's that extra hand that when we went and did the contributor 2 section, that's that hand that's reaching back out. And now I'm connecting it, saying that this author, wherever they are on this website, is connected through here. And so I just put in the about page, or like their profile URL. And so now that they're both connected, and you can test it, right? There's a really cool thing. If you search Google for, if you just put in rich snippets, you get this thing. It's called Google Structured Data Testing Tool. You can do whole websites, but if you're just doing blog posts, which is what I recommend, because you don't want a whole website to have your face on it unless you are the face of the company, right? But in most cases, to test it out, so let's go back to my post. Just put in the URL. I put in the structured data testing tool, preview. Now it tells me that it's working. Right, says it's working for this web page. It has my link right here because it sees that I'm connected. It tells me what the profile name is, who's me. It also tells me a lot of other information, like the, as I said before, the rel equals author link, and where it's going. So that's correct. I definitely know that it's there. Public contributor 2 link on Google Plus profile, averyhess.com, yes, because we went through that in the contributor 2 section. It even tells you, it gives you this H card, and it tells you all of the other data that Google sees on here. So has my title on here. That's stuff I did through the user editing feature, digital marketing coordinator. It has my photo, and then it even has all of the metadata that I put on the back end of that particular post.